We've worked on it to our fellow students over here. Explain what's going on over there, please.
Alright, so basically...
Get behind it so they can get you in the camera. Go ahead.
This is our horizontal aquaponics system. It basically works through the fish tank we have at the end. It's filled with tilapia, and the other tank is filled with catfish, and the food that we feed them helps them to produce nutrients that help our plants grow that are in the system, and all the water is recycled through the pump that's in this bucket.
Okay, so what would we do when we come up to this to make sure everything is copacetic or running properly? What would we try to do? What should we do first when we come up here?
First, we want to make sure the water level's okay. If it's too low, it would burn the pump out. And we want to make sure that it's not overflowing, because if it's overflowing here, that means there's some kind of blockage in the pipe going back to the return.
Okay, what about, is there anything that we could test, just initially safe testing, to see if the pump is working?
We can test it outside of the system.
How about just putting our hand here and feeling the vibration of the pump, right?
Yeah, you can hear it.
We can do that, you can hear it, you can also feel it, right? So this 1-inch pump, 1-inch pipe rather, is that 1 inch? Three quarters? Okay, could you share with us how that 3/4 pipe, we don't see it from here. So can we see where this pipe is going and why is it going that way?
You see it comes from the bucket, up and over, down, and then all the way along the edge back up to the fish tank.
Okay. And this is Chris, and he's found more catfish that have escaped from our new tank that doesn't have a filter on it. Okay, thank you. Very good, Chris. So this is the pipe that you're talking about?
Yep, it's 3/4, just like those, just coupling together all the way back to a faucet at the end that we can regulate the pressure at.
Okay, so why are these props located on this side of the system?
They're there to support the sides of the tanks, because the weight of the water would cause the sides to buckle out, and it actually happened when we were building it.
Okay. So that is like a correction to the system?
Pretty much.
Really? Okay, what about this over here? Explain this pipe that's here, please.
This is a standpipe, and it basically just acts by the power of the pump and by gravity. So it's just a 90-degree PVC fitting on another piece of pipe that comes out of the tank here. And it works by gravity, so the water level would never get any lower than that pipe is high.
Okay.
So we can regulate water level like that. If we ever have to turn the system off, we wouldn't lose any water.
Would you consider this a closed system or an open system?
It's definitely a closed system, because none of the water is taken out or nothing is put back into it unless we really need to.
Right. By evaporation, we'd probably have to add more. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what students planted these seed pods in these platforms?
Our school's ESE students actually planted these in our hydroponics system, where we get them to be about 1/2 inch tall with a couple leaves on them, and then we transfer them to this system for them to grow the rest of the way.
Okay, so we wait for the germination to take place over there, and the students transplant them back over into this location.
Pretty much.
Sometimes we have accidents where we may lose one or two, as you can see by the open holes. It's not a perfect system, but it's a system. Predominantly, it works pretty well. Can you explain what's going on right over here, please?
These are just the pipes that connect the different grow beds together, so the water can flow through freely. And there's very little limitation on the water flow.
Is there? If we can lift this up for a second. If I feel over here, I notice that there's a filter here.
Yep.
This filter would prevent any fish from that tank landing over here, but we actually should have filters from tank to tank.
Which
is that correct?
For the most part, do.
Okay. So moving along over here, is this some of the early? Well, why do we have like a variety over here? Would you say?
Mainly because we would plant different things here to test out if they would even grow. And a lot of them weren't very successful, but some of them did bloom, so we got the ones that weren't successful and just
okay.
Along.
All right, so as you were a part of, because your father helped in the process, come on students over here please. Explain this tank to us.
This is actually a tank that a restaurant would bury in the ground and use for grease collection. It's just usually a tank to hold some kind of liquid you don't want getting out. And we just filled it up with water a while back, and recently just put catfish in it, and we have the pipe coming out here with the 90 that is not filtered, so Chris is having to scoop out some of the fish that are...
Right, because we have an opening over here that does not have a filter stuck into it, which we need to try to do based on something like this that would prevent the fish from transferring from one tank to another. Okay, let's come around here. Students, let's go. Good. You can stay right here. Okay, Tom, explain this tank.
I mean, this is the original fish tank we've had. The first fish system on it is about a 400-gallon tank. And in the middle, this tube goes to an aeration pump that pumps bubbles.
Which is what the bubbles are in the center, right?
Yes, exactly. It pumps bubbles into the water so the fish have oxygen. And this pipe right here controls the flow of water out.
You see this? You see this filter on there?
And this filter makes sure no fish get through. And then put it back down, the flow of water continues back over here to the other tank.
Now, even though the water looks green and probably not something that a human would want to consume or be a part of, we test the water weekly. What do we find out from our tests?
Usually we want to find out that we have no nitrates and...
nitrites, right?
Nitrites, sorry. And very little ammonia because high levels of ammonia can kill the fish. And we just basically want to make sure that all of the nutrients are being distributed along the system and not just sticking in the tank.
Right. So doing that testing is crucial because to date we have not lost a fish. We have not lost a tilapia.
Tilapia specifically.
Right.
So other fish we've experimented with have not done very well in other tanks that we've had, but that was mistakes we learned.
Right. Okay. So let's take a look over here into this side. What can you share with us about this system?
This is the system we actually get our seed pods started in. So the seed pods start out looking a bit like this, very flat, and then once they get hydrated with water, they start puffing up like this, and this is when we put seeds in them. And you can see here we have some pods already waiting to be germinated.
Look over here. If you could take a look, we actually have germination taking place with the green leaves coming out. Now, it's not that many for this time around. I don't know why. We had a successful bumper over there, but over here, we're not getting that many coming out. So we have to revisit this, maybe put different seeds in there, and hopefully, right, but we have some germination already. We do have a few, not that many, not enough to move the whole thing over, but eventually when these do germinate, we'll be able to move them over there and accelerate the growth rate by putting them in the fish nutrient water. Now, what would be another way to accelerate growth to your knowledge and understanding?
Usually just more fish, or with the hydroponic system, instead of using fish, you can add the nutrients yourself.
Right.
So that you know exactly what's going in and what's coming out.
What about having an artificial system above the existing troughs for what happens at night?
Oh, for light?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that. Yeah, it would definitely accelerate the growing process because the plants would have a lot more light than just the however many hours during the day they get them.
Right. So if we set up a system where as the sun goes down, the lights go on, it could accelerate the growth rate by possibly 4 times.
Pretty much. We had a system similar to that in progress over here. This is our vertical aquaponics system. It's basically the same idea, just on a scale going upwards instead of outward. And you can see we have some of the light fixtures already hooked up.
Okay, those are the sun lamps that would, if this was in place, we would have this growing.
24 hours.
Right. So the people that came up with this design initially, we did a little review and we found out that the issues that were needed to be resolved were maybe we should make this like a clear view around so
Yeah,
we
it
can
would,
see.
it would help with seeing the fish, and it would help a lot with getting more light into the fish, because we had some fish in here and it was really dark. You couldn't see anything.
It was kind of hard to control the environment.
Exactly.
Any questions, students? Over there? Maya, question? Okay. All right, this is what we got going, and hopefully we can get more out of it. Thank you very much.